guys? Dan Cannon Reacts here. Today I'll be reacting to 10 wrestling matches WWE want erased forever by Wrestlelamia. Now, as I'm seeing on the thumbnail, guess who that is? Chris Benoit. Which I know he's one of the most forgotten ones in WWE history. I think I know some of his matches were gone on the WWE network. But I think some of them are on Peacock, because I know the WWE Network, I think they got rid of the 2004 Royal Rumble because that was the one that he won. And then there was also some matches that he was in. I think there was also some pay-per-views that he was in too. And then I think after WWE went to Peacock, everything got brought back. So like the matches he was in from Raw, SmackDown, I think ECW as well. And I think they even brought back the 2004 Royal Rumble. And I find it weird that there's some memes about it saying like, at this very day, the 2004 Royal Rumble, nobody won. And I was like, oh, I see it. I see what they did there. Because he doesn't count. So basically nobody won the 2004 Rumble. But yeah, that's very, very shocking that I know a lot of people are saying that he should still be in the Hall of Fame, which I don't agree, but I kind of disagree too, where it's like, yes, he did have some good matches in the past, and yes, he was kind of entertaining, but at the same time, it's like, he did something bad, and, you know, a lot of people can't forget about that, and it's still remembered to this day what he did. There's a lot of people are saying that he didn't do it, so it's like, I don't know, I still believe he did it, and that's probably the reason why WWE wants nothing to do with him, even in the Hall of Fame. But yeah, the original video will be in the description down below. If you want to check that out after this, be sure to do so. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification button to get updates on videos I'll be posting on this channel. So without further ado, let's get into this video.
But there are certain matches in WWE that the company themselves wish never happened. These matches were either absolutely loathed by the fan base, or they featured wrestlers that WWE don't wish to promote in any positive manner. While it's hard for WWE to outright erase the existence of the match in question, WWE will try their best to avoid fans remembering that match even took place. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at 10 matches that WWE want erased forever.
Seriously, why? I know back in the 80s and 90s they can get away with it, but nowadays, no, they can't.
Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out our new channel, Wrestlelamia Shorts. Number 10, The Revival vs. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson at Royal Rumble 2018.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And the kickoff show ahead of the 2018 Royal Rumble event featured a standard tag team match. The match pitted The Revival against Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, and the match was passable, but it wasn't exactly an all-time classic. Nevertheless, a number of years after the match, it surfaced that Vince McMahon had labeled the match as the worst match he's ever seen. This piece of information was revealed by Dax Harwood, aka Scott Dawson, on an episode of his podcast. He added,
"Anyway, we come to the back and Vince is waiting for us, all four of us, and we thought the match was good. I mean, it was like a 8-minute match or whatever. We came to the back, and he said, well, that is absolutely the worst wrestling match I've ever seen in my entire life. The worst wrestling match he's ever seen, Matt. The worst. This man has been in the business for 50 years. This is the worst match he has ever seen in his entire life."
Now, it's safe to say that this match will never be seen in any WWE highlights package. Number 9, Randy Orton vs. Chris Benoit at SummerSlam 2005.
Why they left and went to AEW.
SummerSlam 2004 was designed to be Randy Orton's moment. Orton would defeat Chris Benoit to become the youngest world champion in company history. And this would be a moment that WWE could replay and market for decades to come. The problem was that due to Benoit's actions in 2007, WWE replaying footage of this match has become extremely hard. Due to them erasing Benoit from their history books, WWE had to limit how much footage they show of the match. When Orton winning the world title at SummerSlam 2004 is ever alluded to, it's usually supported with an image of Orton celebrating, with Benoit completely out of the shot. They would have no doubt have loved for Orton to defeat anyone else for the world title, but the fact that the match features such a controversial figure makes it a problematic matchup from their decorated history. Number 8, Vince McMahon versus Pat McAfee at WrestleMania 38.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. That one wasn't too bad.
WrestleMania 38 featured an impromptu matchup between Vince and Pat McAfee. This match was atrocious, mainly due to McMahon's limited ability, but it was what followed that made the match infamous.
And yet he's still
a few months after the match took place, it was revealed that McMahon would be retiring from WWE due to a huge scandal regarding hush money, and McMahon having affairs with a number of women. This match would never be alluded to on WWE TV again, and it's highly likely that the footage of this match will never be used in any type of marketing. Number 7, John Cena vs CM Punk at Money in the Bank 2011. When CM Punk walked out of WWE in 2014, WWE virtually erased Punk's name from the history books. Punk has rarely been mentioned on TV over the past 9 years, and footage of him and his matches have been limited. This unfortunately means that WWE are reluctant to highlight one of the greatest matches in their history, that being Punk's match with John Cena from 2011's Money in the Bank event. This match was a classic that reintroduced a ton of lapsed fans back into the WWE product. It was a match that made Punk one of the household names in WWE.
He still is.
That's a massive shame that WWE never mentions or highlights the match in any way, because it's a special match that means a lot to the fan base. The only way this match is going to be celebrated by WWE themselves is if Punk makes a miraculous return, which unfortunately seems highly unlikely. Number 6, Jerry Lawler vs Michael Cole at WrestleMania 27. WrestleMania 27 has a license for this is because the pay-per-view featured the infamous match between Jerry Lawler and Michael Cole. The match had no place on a pay-per-view card such as WrestleMania, and the match was so bad that even Vince McMahon gave it a scathing review once Cole and Lawler came back through the curtain. What makes the match so frustrating was that this was one of the longest matches on the entire show, and they decided to dedicate so much time to a match that the fan base simply didn't want to see. In recent years, this match is rarely mentioned or highlighted in any way, and if it's mentioned, it's brought up by Cole on commentary, and he presents the match as an utter joke, which speaks volume as to what the WWE as a company think of the match itself. Number 5, Brock Lesnar vs Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 34. For several years now, WWE have been adamant on presenting Brock Lesnar vs Roman Reigns as an all-time classic feud. However, during the early days of the feud, the matches and the feud itself had a rotten reputation with the fans. Their encounter at WrestleMania 34 showcased the fan base's negative feelings. Their match was placed in the main event slot of WrestleMania, and fans hated it. They would have endlessly booed both men, and the match upset Lesnar so much that he legitimately threw his Universal title at Vince McMahon backstage. Thankfully, WWE have been able to forget that this match even happened, as the matches between the two in 2022 were much better, and it's likely that WWE will use highlights from the WrestleMania 38 and SummerSlam 2022 encounters when presenting the feud in a positive manner.
I love the SummerSlam
Number 4,
one.
Goldberg vs The Undertaker at Super Showdown 2019. WWE made a bold match between Goldberg and The Undertaker in 2019. The two would face off at the Super Showdown pay-per-view, and it was a miracle that both men came out of the match in one piece. Well, almost. The match featured endless botches, and at one point Taker was nearly dropped on his head. The match was a true embarrassment, and it wasn't a match that either man or WWE should have been proud of. Since the match took place, both men have openly resented the match, and WWE have been reluctant to even mention the match in any capacity. It's like the match never even took place, which is perhaps the best approach. Number 3, DX vs the Brothers of Destruction at Crown Jewel 2018. Shawn Michaels deciding to come out of retirement in 2018 was a controversial decision. HBK had the perfect send-off at WrestleMania 26, and fans were disappointed that he was coming out of retirement simply for a huge payday. HBK would team with Triple H to take on Taker and Kane, and the match was even worse than fans expected. It was a botch galore, and it featured 4 men who were way past their prime trying to deliver a main event level match. HBK wasn't the HBK of old, as he was now bald and looking rather uncomfortable in the ring. It was a terrible decision for HBK to come out of retirement, and since the match took place, fans and WWE themselves have opted to remember HBK's WrestleMania 26 match as a final match of the all-time great. Number 2, the Royal Rumble 2004.
With Chris Benoit.
When the 2004 Royal Rumble had gone off the air, the Rumble match itself would be instantly praised as one of the best Rumble matches WWE had ever delivered. It was a standout Rumble, and WWE's booking of Benoit was highly praised. Sadly, due to his actions in summer 2007, WWE have been forced to erase this Rumble match from history. When the WWE promotes or highlights the 2004 Rumble, they usually focus on Triple H versus Shawn Michaels rather than the Rumble match itself. Benoit also won the Rumble from the number 1 position, but when stats are discussed relating to the Rumble, Benoit is never mentioned by name. In recent years, the Rumble has been labelled as the Forgotten Rumble, as from WWE's perspective, it's been removed from the history books. And number 1, Triple H versus Shawn Michaels versus Chris Benoit at WrestleMania 20. Following Benoit winning the 2004 Rumble, he would be awarded the main event slot of WrestleMania 20. He would take on Triple H and Shawn Michaels in an unbelievable triple threat match for the world title. At the time, this was considered one of the greatest matches in WWE history, and JR on commentary was actively calling it a WrestleMania classic. But again, following the actions of Benoit, WWE had to pretend like the main event of WrestleMania 20 never happened. It's never been mentioned or highlighted in any way, but when WrestleMania 20 is discussed in any type of media, the focus is usually on The Undertaker vs. Kane match or Cena winning the US title. Whilst it may be frustrating to some that WWE like to pretend classic matches such as the main event of WrestleMania 20 never happened, the reality is that it's completely understandable why WWE are reluctant to present Benoit in any positive manner, and their approach to Benoit's body of work is unlikely to ever change. But there you have it, folks, 10 matches that WWE want erased forever. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.
I mean, that's interesting. I think they didn't show some of that stuff, but I think WrestleMania 20 is back on Peacock. The 2004 Royal Rumble is back on Peacock. And then some of the stuff is back on Peacock as well. But that's shocking that he basically... There's some good matches that he did. He was a good, funny guy. I think the funniest one he did was the Kurt Angle one. What I mean by that is the Kurt Angle storyline he had. That was one of my funniest ones. It was the one where he stole Kurt Angle's gold medals, and then he did these hints, I guess, where he was at. So the first hint, he was at, the restaurant. And the first hint, and then the second hint, he's at somewhere else, and he wants Kurt to go find him, to come after him, but except he's gone by the time Kurt's there, and so they ended up having a match between the I guess the medals, or I guess for the medals, and so basically Kurt had to get him out of his pants, and he knew that the medals were somewhere in there. That was hilarious. I think one of the funniest ones was a segment between those two where Kurt was like, "I have more teeth than you," and then Chris was like, "Oh yeah? Well, I have more hair than you." And then Kurt basically touched his head like, "Great, I'm bald. You have more hair. Yeah, you're right. I'm bald." That has to be one of the funniest ones ever. But he was funny, but at the same time, it's like what he did back in 2007. That was totally unacceptable and very, very shocking that he would do that. Especially a nice guy and how funny he was. That's so very disturbing that he's like that in real life. But anyways, guys, that's the end of the video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.